Good morning, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. Going to do another video with Reba this morning. This is the third or fourth time we've done this video. But springtime in Wyoming, it makes it difficult with the wind, so we're going to try it today. So what we're going to do, I'm going to talk first off about saddling a mule. There's a little bit of differences between that and saddling a horse, some things to be aware of. And then we're going to ride and look at the difference of what she is this morning and what she was the last video we did. And I will put a link to that last video in the description of this. Now, there's a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things out there that people say about riding mules. And it's not much different than horses. There's very little that everybody agrees on. So some of the things I'm going to say about a saddle mule, riding a saddle mule, there's going to be folks that are going to get out there and say that's not true. But in my experience, it's true, and the experience of the folks that I know. So I'm going to start with the saddle. I'll lead her up here so Mama can see a little better. Now there's people out there that say that for a mule, you need a saddle that's built for a mule, that you need a mule treed saddle. That's not strictly true, okay? There are mule treed saddles out there that won't fit a lot of mules, but there's a lot of horse saddles that will fit mules. And so there's not much difference between horse and mule in the fact that you just need a saddle that fits your animal. Now this saddle here, this is the one I ride on her exclusively. This is a hardwood saddle, and the tree is a 90x4. That means the bars are at 90 degrees and they're 4 inches apart. Now this saddle's technically built for a horse, but it fits her fine, all right? And so there's not, some of the folks that I've seen out there who are like, no, you gotta have a special mule-built saddles. The miraculous thing is they just so happen to sell special mule-built saddles. It's magic, but you don't have to. You'll find riding mules, now mules are like horses. You got great big draft cross, giant jacks and everything. Little quarter horse mule like her, you'll find like a lot of your old antique styles, like your Heisers and your Hamleys and your Heisers and your Frasers and your Porters and stuff. They'll have narrow trees because the horses were a lot more narrow back then, and they tend to fit a lot of your mules really good. Okay, so it's not a magic fit. A mule built saddle is not a magic fit for your mule, and it's not automatic. Every outfit that I have ever worked for, every single one that had riding mules, we just use horse saddles on them. I've never been an outfit that had special mule built saddles for their mules. So for whatever that's worth, there you go. Now it's important on a mule, it's important that you have a breast collar. They don't have, the back is not shaped like a horse's. The belly, not only is the top line different, but the bottom line, the belly's different too, okay? Your saddle will not stay in place if you don't tie it in place, all right? So you need a breast collar, and just like on a horse, you need one that comes in and fits them and doesn't come up here and cut their wind off going uphill, because that's when everything's going to slide back and it's going to get tight. I like these that come up here and come up high. That's just my preference. I actually called John Brand at Buckaroo Leather and said, hey man, will you make me another one of those pulling collars, one of those martingale collars, but make it rough out to match my rough out saddle. So he did, and as usual I got it, and it's just exemplary work. Knowing that, but I've got here in a week or two, I've got the new saddle. We're doing the new Ben Geisler Dry Creek Wrangler saddle corroboration, and they're all rough out, so I wanted a rough out breast collar to match that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give John a plug here. I've done it several times. He does great work and he takes good care of me. If you want like really good handmade quality headstalls, breast collars, saddle bags, stuff like that, Buckaroo Leather, John Brand, I get all my stuff from him. He takes good care of me. All right, so it's important on a mule, your back cinch is very important, and it needs to be snug. Now what a lot of, and this is a good thing, I'm not opposed to this, and probably if if I was riding her exclusively in the mountains, I would do this too. But you'll see a lot of riding mules, what they'll do is they'll put a latigo just like this back here. They'll take this off. And then on the other side, yeah, come on, turn on around. Come on, turn on around. And on the other side, you see how you see that, Mama? We got the billet with a regular mohair cinch. They'll do the same here. They'll hang a billet and they'll put a mohair cinch back here. And so when they saddle their mule, the mule has 2 regular cinches. Like all of your pack saddles are like that, just about. They got 2 regular mohair cinches. Well, they'll do it on a riding mule. They'll have 2 cinches and they'll pull them both up snug, and it keeps everything on the mule in place. And then the other thing is, Reba will do the walking so Mama don't have to, okay? There you go. Reba says, I don't want to.
You said do the walking.
I did say do the walking. She took me in. Reba's got a little bit of I don't want to this morning. She was a little bit scratchy to catch. All right. And then you also have to have either a crooper or a breechin. Now this is a crooper. A breechin is a wide leather strap that comes around under the tail, around the rump, ties into the back cinches. But a crooper is fine on a riding animal. You wouldn't use a crooper on a pack saddle, too much weight. You definitely want the breechin around the back. But because the mule's shoulders, they don't have the withers. I mean, you can see she ain't got no withers. All right. That saddle's going to come forward going downhill. And so you run a crooper. Let me see if I can move her around a little bit so you can see this. Come on, sister. Come on around a little bit more. Come on. Can you see that, Mama?
Yes.
So this goes under her tail. It's fat leather roll there. And you adjust it, you put your saddle where it goes. And then you have the crooper and the breast collar set up. And so everything's tight, so it's in place. I'll give you a little tidbit. On a pack saddle, every mule, every pack animal has their own saddle normally. And it's set up so you'd never do this on a riding horse, never, all right? But it's so important you set the pack saddle on the mule, then do the breast collar and the breechin, because that lines it up where it's supposed to be on the mule's back, has been predetermined, and then do the cinches. Because it's very important on a mule that the saddle's placed where it ought to be. So some guys do that, okay? So it's just very important on a mule that things are in place and things are held in place. They don't have the anatomy of a horse, okay? All right. I think that covers about everything on that. So now we're going to ride her a little bit today and compare what she's doing to what she was in the last video. Now, if you remember in the last video, we were just on the ground, but she was all locked in and all the other horses and everything, and she wasn't paying attention, and she was pretty hard in the mouth. Well, girl, I think that's tight enough. Now that's a no. We'll work on that. That's not something we're going to tolerate. All right? But now I've worked her. Whoa. We'll have to warm her back up. I've worked her in here 2 or 3 times, and I've been working on her face. Now, you'll see it's good that she's going to just not be perfect this morning, so you can see what reality is. One of the things I hate when I'm watching a horse trainer is they say, we're going to work on this, and they bring a horse or a mule out that is fully, totally, 100% broke, and everything they do is perfect and spot on. And then I'm like, well, my horse ain't doing that. Now what? Well, now she's kind of being a little muley this morning, but so what I want you to pay attention to is I'm turning her, and I want you to see how I'm not horsing her with a block and tackle. We brought all the horses in from on top last night, so we've got 12 head of horses No, we've got 13 head of horses on the place. So that has really stirred up the dynamic. And she don't want to be in here by herself. Well, that's all right. That's just part of life, so she's got to learn to work through that too. But what I started to say was, whoa, there we go. You remember. You see so many people riding mules and they got these big long shanks and these great big bits, and they got mule bits and everything, because they say, well, the mule is so tough, so hard-headed, you got to have extra leverage. I got her in the same snaffle bit I start every horse in. And if you don't give them a chance to be light, they'll never be light. And you can train a horse and a mule in the same bit. You can do a bozal on a mule just like you can a horse. You just got to start and be patient. Now you see how much lighter she is on that? There was hardly any. So she's learning. She's learning that it does, not only does it not pay to fight that bit, it's not necessary. I will be as light as she will let me. You know, the rule of thumb is do everything that you have to do, but don't do any more than that. So we're going to come around. Look how light that is. Now she wants to come back over here because that horse is over there, and that's okay. I'll use that as a magnet. Instead of letting that work against me, I'll let it work for me. Nice. So she'll back up now. All right. Ooh. So a couple of points I want to make today. You say, Dwayne, she's definitely not a reining horse this morning. Well, she's not a reining horse. All right, she's a mule. She's better than she was, and she's getting better every time. And that's what you have to look for. All right. So you got to have, we've talked about it before, when you're training a horse or you're training a mule, you have to have a beginning place and you have to have a destination. All right. Well, every day when you work your animal, you don't say, well, I'm not at my destination, doggone it. Every day you say, I'm one step closer to my destination. I'm one step closer. And that's what you work for. You work for, how can I get her a step closer today than she was last time we rode? Now, Connor rode her the other day out on a trail, and she was just beautiful. She did great. She's in here, and she's a little not focused, but she's still not fighting me. So we're several steps on the road toward our destination. But too many people, when they're training their horse, or they're training their mule, or they're training their dog, or they're training their kids, get discouraged because in one day they're not to their destination. And they don't look at the advances that have been made and say, all right, we made advances. So what we are doing is we're building a foundation. And we'll build the house on that foundation. So Dwayne, what is your destination? If you go back and watch the videos of me riding Ray in here last year, that's my destination. I'm gonna get her as light in a bit and as responsive and as flexing as that little bay mare was. That's my destination. Now every time I bring her in here, I'm like, what step did we take towards getting to that destination? Not, am I there? So what I'm gonna do, it is a little soon yet, and I do not expect a good reaction, but you guys who follow me, you know that I work on a principle of zones. Zone 1 is from the tip of the nose to the end of the neck. I I've talked about this so many times. From the end of the neck to the middle of the barrel is zone 2. From the middle of the barrel to the base of the tail is zone 3. Eventually, you need to be able to communicate to them and get them to move any one of those zones independently. Zone 1 is all hands. Zone 1 is all hands. So you need to be able to, so she needs to learn and get the idea that if my feet are moving, if my feet are not moving, her feet are not moving. So this is what I'm gonna be working on the next few times we're in here, because she's not gonna have it down this morning. I'm gonna keep my feet still, and I'm gonna ask for her nose. Now you can't see it from the camera, but I can feel it. And when I feel her starting to move her feet, I'm gonna stop and go back and start over. My feet are very still, so I want her to pick up on it. Nope. She's like, well, I'm gonna go over and see. I'm gonna go over and see Biscuit. No, we're not gonna go see Biscuit. We're gonna come back here, all right? Now she don't know. And so I gotta be patient. So my feet are very still, so I want her feet to be still. Whoop. All right. Now what I did there is she started tipping her nose without moving her feet, but I felt her shift. She was getting ready to move her feet, so I stopped her and brought her back before she could move her feet. Now after a while, a few of those she'll put it together. I'm not supposed to move my feet. As long as I move my head, all right, now I'm gonna stop. If I had moved her head anymore, she would have moved her feet, okay? And then I would have been asking for too much, and I would have been setting her up to fail, all right? Now I can feel her shift a little bit. All right, I'm gonna quit. And she says, well, I'm gonna mule. You quit and I'll mule. How about that? We'll back her up. Back her up. Get off that. So this is what we'll be working on, okay? My feet are very still. So I want her feet still. There we go. And I'll give it to her. I'll just take a little bit. If I come in and I ask for too much, she's gonna say, well, that's not getting me off the pressure, so I must need something more, and then she'll move her feet. And after a while, I won't ever get her out of the fact that everything's moving her feet. So she's gonna come around. Good girl. All right, my feet are still now. So it's that patience. It's a little bit at a time. It's just a little bit at a time. All right. This will also make her very light. No. This will make her very light. This will help her be light when we're riding in the bit. No. She's like, I'm trying to get off that pressure, and I don't know. All right. My feet are very still. So I want her feet to be still. And she'll sort this out. She's smart. There. Whoop. I overdid her just a little bit there. And she don't want to stand. Now I'm gonna see if I can get her to flex at the pole a little bit. She hadn't been taught. She don't know. As a mule, she's naturally going to brace against that. I don't want to go back. I need to separate it. My feet are still. So all I want is your face. I don't want your feet. And we'll have to work on this some. She's not going to get this today. But if I just stay in here, she gives me just a little bit, I'll give it, and she'll start putting 2 and 2 together. Just give me a tip. Just give me a tip. Just an inch. Just an inch. I'll take a ½ inch. I'll take a ¼ inch. We'll work on that a bit. So anyhow, it's just those little things. Now the other thing I'm going to introduce her to today, and she ain't going to know. All right, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to open up this leg here. Now what she's going to do, I know what she's going to do. She's going to go forward. All right, that's okay. When she starts going forward, I'm going to check her and say, no, that's not what see, I ain't touched her yet. I'm going to come out here, and I'm just going to barely come in. It's gonna barely come in here. And see if she'll give me those hindquarters. Now I got the bit tight because she's wanting to go forward, and I don't want her to know. She said, well, now there's a new pressure. How do I get off of that? Do I go forward to get away from it? No. I'm gonna tip her nose and help her a little bit. She's like, I'm a mule. Make me. Don't want to, don't know what it is. But we're not gonna get too crazy. We'll give her a chance to figure it out. And if she don't figure it out today, that's all right. We'll just keep doing it until one day she does figure it out and decides that that's what she wants to do. Move it over. Move it over. There we go. Whoa. It was ugly, but we'll take it. Now, you notice when I'm pulling back, I'm moving my feet. That's her signal on this bit. If Dwayne's moving his feet, I need to move my feet. And she'll separate this out in time. Now, it's not pretty this morning. But it's better than it was. All right?
Yep.
So take your time. Don't get impatient. All right? Especially with a mule. Don't try to force them into it. You just keep showing them, find a way to show them that it's in their best interest and let them figure it out. Okay? All right. We're going to quit there. That's enough of that. Be logical. Be reasonable. Be safe. And have fun. We'll catch you guys next time.